If you are a freelancer, a contractor, self-employed entrepreneur, paid hourly, or maybe paid on commission, then you are all too familiar with the turbulent financial life that comes with having an irregular income. Some months you may earn more than 3 times as much as you did the month previously, and other months you may be paid less than half. Budgeting with an irregular income can be really challenging. There isn't a one-size-fits-all, and there's no perfect solution that will cover the board for every situation. But the good news is that there is still a way to budget if you have an irregular income. As a real estate agent, money coach, and entrepreneur myself, I definitely understand your challenge, and I am no stranger to the crazy world of having an irregular income. So today I want to help you out and share with you the process that I use for budgeting with an irregular income. Hey there, I'm Katie Jones, and here on my channel, I share practical and biblical money tips to help you become an excellent money manager of the resources that God has given you. If that resonates with you, be sure to scroll down and hit that subscribe button. So before I get into the budgeting process, I want to share with you 4 tips that have helped my husband and I be really successful with our irregular income budget. Tip number 1, and this tip is really for everyone, but especially for those living with an irregular income, is to have an emergency fund. Because my income as a real estate agent and money coach can be wildly fluctuating throughout the year, we keep a really decent size emergency fund, and we keep it readily available for situations where we might need to dip into it. There are many months where things don't work out perfectly and income isn't coming in like predicted, and at the same time something crazy happens, like someone running a red light and totaling your car, and then you're all of a sudden stuck like finding a new car. That's currently happening right now, by the way. Please pray for me. But these are the months where I'm just so thankful that we have an emergency fund readily accessible for us in those times where things don't work out perfectly and you need to fall back on that cash. That way it saves us from going into debt. Okay, so tip number 2 is regarding that debt you have, and the tip is to pay it off as quickly as you can. Paying off our debt has not only saved us a lot of money on paying for interest, but it has also been a tremendous help when budgeting with this irregular income. After paying off my student loans, the amount of money that we dedicated to fixed expenses like debt significantly dropped. So tip number 3 is to work on building up multiple streams of revenue. Now, building up multiple streams of revenue is going to take some time, but it has really helped us in those months where maybe a client falls through from money coaching, but at the same time, we still have income coming in from our rental properties. So at this moment in time, my husband and I have about 5 to 6 different sources of revenue coming in, which is super helpful. And one of those is the paycheck that I take from my business. And the business itself has about like 8 to 12 sources of revenue, depending on how you count them. And this is super helpful when certain things fall through. You still have sources flowing into the budget. And tip number 4 is to trust in the Lord. If you have a wildly, outrageously fluctuating income, I totally understand the stress that you may feel certain months when you don't have any revenue coming in. And the only way that you can really get through it while still keeping your head on your shoulders is by praying through your situation and giving it over to the Lord, trusting that He will take care of you. And He promises so many times throughout the Bible that if you do lean on Him and trust in His understanding and not your own, that He will make your path straight and He will provide for you in those moments. There was just a Google car that drove through our cul-de-sac. Kind of crazy. Okay, so now we got those 4 tips out of the way, and I really do hope you take me up on at least 1, if not 2 of those to really help you become successful with your irregular income budget. But if you are new to budgeting, or you're really kind of struggling to kind of implement some of these strategies in order to become an excellent money manager, and you're really desiring to be able to free up your money to pursue the calling that God has given you, I would encourage you to check out my program, Redeeming Your Finances, where we dive dive deeper into each of these strategies, and I help you personally to implement them into your own life and depending on your current situation. So I'll have a link to that in the show notes below. So there are two kind of ways that you can actually set up a budget for an irregular income. And the first process is for those who have a moderately irregular income, and the second process is for those who have a wildly irregular income. Maybe you already know that your income is wildly irregular, so you can skip ahead to that section. But for those of you who have an income that's generally the same, but it kind of fluctuates, maybe there's some months where there's a little bit of a peak and some where there's a slump, but generally across the board, it's somewhat the same, then a moderately irregular income budget is going to be the process for you. The best way to budget with a moderately irregular income is to take about 3 to 6 months of your income statements and to add them all up and take the average of them. Whatever that number is, whatever your average is for each month, that is what you should use for your budget. This next process is for you if you have a wildly irregular income, and that is someone like myself. So as a real estate agent, there are some months where I'm actually not bringing in any real income until I actually make that sale. So I might be working with a client, but I don't actually make any money until a house closes and a sale is complete. But on those months where a sale does close, I can be making a high 4-figure number or even a low 5-figure number. And so that's a lot of money versus on some months, I might be making $0. The key is with those kind of incomes, it's super important not to go and get tempted to spend it all right away. It's super exciting when more than $10,000 all of a sudden hits your bank account. But if you go and spend it all and then next month you make nothing, then you're living off of nothing. So this is the process that I recommend for you. What you will do is take all of your income from the past 12 months, add it up, and then get the average for that number. But you're not going to budget off of that average number because, again, you have a wildly irregular income. So what you'll want to make sure to do is to make a slight adjustment to that number. This is to help protect you against any super crazy incidents. And it's kind of like building up your own insurance policy for yourself. So what I recommend that you do is adjust your income somewhere between 80 to 90%, meaning that you will budget off of only 90% of the average income that you take home. So this practically looks like taking your average and multiplying it by 0.8 or 0.9 or somewhere in between. And I recommend testing it out to see which number actually works best for you. Now, whatever that number is, this is the number that you are going to budget off of monthly. This process is going to be really challenging and tough to get into for the first time, especially if you haven't been budgeting at all from your irregular income, or if you're new to having an irregular income, it's going to be especially challenging for yourself. And so if you do have any questions along the way as you implement this, please drop them in the comments below because it is absolutely my pleasure to get back to you and to help you out in becoming an excellent money manager. The last tip I want to share with you if you have an irregular income is to prioritize setting up a regular budget date to actually plan out your month ahead. This simply looks like sitting down a week or so before the new month starts and writing down all of your projections for the month. So how much are you going to bring in based on what you have going on or what your goals are even. And then write down all the expenses that you have and see what adjustments you can make in order to save some more money for that little bit of emergency fund in order to float over to those months where you might not be making as much. This process has really helped my husband and I to set realistic projections and goals for our expenses and savings goals for the month. So I highly recommend that you prioritize doing this in your own life. And if you're curious to see how we actually go through and do our monthly budget setup for the new month coming up, let me know in the comments below. It's a video I've been considering creating, so just drop in the comments monthly budget date video, please, and I will be sure to make that here soon for you.